This is a weekly summary of interesting news that is relevant for my distributed systems lecture at the Eastern University of Applied Sciences in Switzerland. My name is Thomas Bocek, and today we will discuss 4 topics. The first topic is the following here. This covers a production migration from DigitalOcean to Hetzner dedicated servers. A software company was paying over $1,400 a month for a cloud droplet. After switching to a Hetzner dedicated server, the bill dropped to about $230 a month. And the new server is more powerful in every way, more CPU cores, more RAM, and faster storage. And the setup being migrated was not simple. That's the interesting story here. It included 30 MySQL databases totaling around 250 gigabytes, 34 web server configurations, a GitLab instance, a graph database, background job workers, and live mobile app traffic serving hundreds of thousands of users. The old server was also running on an end-of-life operating system, so the migration also included an operating system upgrade. And the migration was designed with zero downtime using a 6-phased approach. First, the entire software stack was rebuilt on the new server to match the old one. Then all web files were cloned using rsync. For the databases, instead of taking them offline, they set up live master-to-slave replication. The old servers kept serving as the primary, while the new one stayed in sync in real time. Before touching DNS, they lowered, of course, the time to live. We discussed this in our lecture. The time to live values on all records to 5 minutes. Then the old web server was converted into a reverse proxy, silently forwarding any remaining traffic to the new server. And finally, a script flipped all DNS records to the new IP. And at no point during the process was the service unavailable. This is quite remarkable. Traffic was always being served either directly or through the proxy. The entire operation took roughly 24 hours. And this is an interesting article because for steady state workloads that do not need auto scaling or cloud native features, dedicated servers can deliver better performance at a fraction of the cost compared to cloud providers. The next article is also quite interesting. It's the following here. This is an interactive map that shows which email provider handles the official email of the municipalities of around 2,100 Swiss municipalities. It works by analyzing DNS records, specifically the MX records and SPF records. We also talked about this in the lecture, and then color codes each municipality by provider on a map. You can see at a glance which municipalities use Microsoft, Google, or a self-hosted or local Swiss solution. Switzerland, as you know, is a confederation where each of the 26 cantons operates with a high degree of independence. There's no central authority telling municipalities which email providers to use, and that explains the variety on the map. There's a growing push across multiple European countries to reduce dependency on US-based cloud providers, and several countries have digital ministries drafting plans to move away from Microsoft products, framing it as a matter of national sovereignty and security. And actually, a similar map exists for Netherlands, Belgium, and Norway, showing that it's not just a Swiss concern. Nevertheless, I want to zoom in here to Rapperswil, and here we see Rapperswil is handled by Microsoft 365. The next article is the following here. It's about a US Special Forces soldier that was arrested after allegedly using classified military information to bet on Polymarket. He bet over $32,000 that the Venezuelan president would be removed from power and made more than $400,000 in profit. Polymarket runs on the Polygon blockchain, where users trade outcome tokens using cryptocurrency. Bets are settled through smart contracts and users can trade pseudonymously. In this case, the soldier moved his winnings into a foreign cryptocurrency vault before depositing them into a brokerage account. Prosecutors say this was an attempt to hide the money's origin, but despite the pseudonymity, law enforcement was able to trace the activity. And the platform's international site operates offshore outside US regulatory reach, which lets it offer markets on events like armed conflict, illegal under federal law. Americans still can access it through a VPN. Polymarket said it identified the suspicious trades and referred the case to the Department of Justice. Prediction markets have grown fast with billions trades weekly. Lawmakers have introduced over a dozen bills to regulate them, including penalties for insider trading on confidential information. And with respect to blockchain, we will look into blockchain in the fall semester. The last article, it's the following here. This is a blog post that makes the case against long-lived cryptographic keys. The core argument is simple. The longer a key exists, the more risk it accumulates. People leave companies, keys get copied into config files, documentation goes stale, and the probability of someone guessing or leaking the key grows over time. The recommended alternative is ephemeral keys, keys valid for a short period of time, a day or less, where rotation is built in by design. Instead of static SSH keys that get hard-coded and forgotten, you can use temporary credentials that require fresh authentication. Instead of long-lived API tokens shared across pipelines, you can use workflows that generate short-lived credentials on demand. Single sign-on works on a similar principle, replacing user-selected passwords with short-lived signed assertions from a trusted identity provider. The author acknowledges you cannot eliminate all long-lived keys. The key that signs those short-lived assertions is itself long-lived, but reducing their numbers lets you concentrate security efforts on fewer, smaller, more focused pieces of infrastructure that are easier to harden. And the advice for remaining long-lived keys: limit the scope, reason through their maximum safe lifetime, and rotate at least quarterly. And here we have the concern security versus convenience. If you rotate it quarterly, you have the inconvenience of updating all the places where it's used. If it lives longer, it's more convenient. So it's security versus convenience. See you next week.